Hello everyone, and welcome back to Grok Build Something Beta. This is episode number 5 now, and we're currently resting 0.1.212 beta for Grok Build. And today, I'm gonna do a couple small things. So, I've done a little bit of off-camera work. Take a look at the state of our snake game. You'll notice that I got the transparent background in. I have blown up the size of the board and made it smaller overall, so it's more this, your Google Snake game. The actual logic of turning, allowing me to turn into myself by going up and over fast hasn't been fixed yet, so we're going to look at fixing that in this game. And you'll notice that we made this a lot better. Not perfect, but it makes a lot more sense now. So I did a little update on a different video on why our thing came out so, it was like a cinematic bendy Rainbow Road looking thing. And I talked to Grok more about it, and it was because Grok was assuming we wanted to put on a show. Just looking back at my prompts, I can kind of see why. Instead of building a nice pragmatic, first person snake game, it went for mind bendy cool visuals, and that just wasn't what we're. So with that in mind, we're going to work on a couple things. First thing I want to point out, and this is something I think is going to be important for the Grok harness in general, because this is a problem that shows up with the web version as well, is Grok, for better or for worse, pretty bad at guessing what you want. And so you might imply, hey, I need you to fix this feature on the side. And a lot of times Grok will look in a completely different spot. I'll see this on the web where we'll be having a conversation. And I'll think it's natural for me to say, hey, extend the script or whatever, and it might pick a totally different script, or it might even go off in a whole different direction. So I've noticed Grok is, the worst at assuming what I'm thinking, which, again, I don't know if that's bad. It could just be that I'm a bad communicator, right? So, or it's just a different communication style than the other LLMs, and that'll throw me off because I'm talking to it like I'm talking to Claude or Chat, and that's whatever the reason, it's different. And so what I want to do is try to constrain our Grok a little bit. So one name instruction. What I want to do is I want to try to constrain our Grok build to identify the component and confirm we're talking about the same one before it makes any major changes. So we'll call intermediate change. Should name the looking at changing green same. And so maybe in my debugging, where this kind of came up was, if we look in the inspector here, you'll see that there is this, maybe I won't, there's this game container, and I wanted it to resize the game container, but it thought I meant the figure out. kind of hard. But first of all, I got it. Yeah, so I think it was, for better or for worse, effectively it was pulling this grid that we're playing in right now, which I can't get a good feeling for in this inspect. But it was thinking I wanted to resize what was inside there, and so it was keeping our game container entirely the same size, which is not what we wanted, right? So you know, inside this it would shrink, and then this would be the same size. And it took probably 4 or 5 prompts of going back and forth with Grok to say, no, I want this, no, I want this. And it was better just to agree upon component. So we will see that it can write its own agents.md. It gave us a little bit of frame rate changes. Yeah, I mean, it pretty much took verbatim what I said. So it's good to see for deterministic abilities, but nope, looks good. Good. Now, what I want to focus on, you remember that first person view. The boxes were really, which was a weird type of, so. If individual statement. Because what we want, and you can kind of see it right now, they're blocky, right? What we want is we want all that fused together, so I feel like I can run across the grid instead of bouncing through space. So we'll see. What Grok up to. So here we can already see it's abiding by our instructions. Abiding by our instruction. These are some refactoring I did. I'm gonna roll. You'll see there's this weird labeling of events. Eventually here, I'm gonna integrate some of my custom workflows that I do once we explore the Grok harness enough. So these will kind of make more sense later. For now, they're just know that it's how I'm organizing my repo. But let's see. Boxes render spread out is coming from the perspective. So this is good. It's coming from the perspective, chase cam. Draw playable first person. Manually projects every grid cell and draws its independent fill rect. Yes, so it's drawing as essentially an independent box. Using its own math because each cell is drawn as isolation. The compute size, the visual gap seams. Yes, that is the target. It. Thinking we just need to, so that it's should be easy in theory because it's, you know, if you look at it, it's square. Every, you know, you're not getting any changes, so I think we can do it. See if Grok can do it. I've been fighting Grok a little bit. One thing I noticed, probably won't show itself in this video, is right now where Grok stands, Grok build, the base harness isn't very good at looking wide. So it's very good at targeted fixes, but it won't think about how that, you know, expands to other things. And so they'll do what it wanted to fix and then not think about how the rest of the app needs to snap together. Do that. Stroke, entire compute, the cell directly projection. Yes, I think that matches. I like that, so it bleeds into each other. Okay. Some people might be annoyed by the fact that Grok doesn't go change wide, but on the other side, it gives you more explicit control, which some developers will actually prefer. Right? So instead of you making one change and the harness automatically snapping the whole app towards it, you can just kind of see a little isolated change and go from. But it is definitely worse performance doing it that way. So we may look into what it'll take. So here's a start. Sorry, I should finish my thought. We'll look into what it takes to Grok, customize it, to look out a little further. But so here is a half done implementation. It looks like the horizontal mesh as well, but we forgot to mesh the vertical. And I'm assuming in conversations I've had with Grok, the horizontal has left to right. So see what it says. Yep. So it did a half fix. That's kind of a, I think that might actually be the best example of it not going very far, is how we get into this game of, well, I'll do the X, but I won't think about how I also need to do the Y. And that's partially because the Y is harder, right? If we think about, it's kind of stretching itself out into space. And so Grok was like, well, I'm not doing that. That's a lot of work, maybe beyond the scope, and was hoping that was just beyond the scope, when in reality, it's not. So I did the easy thing, which was to, do the horizontal, but it did not do the difficult thing. So it says it thinks it did it, but I have I got closer. Got much closer, but I'm still not exactly sure how to tell Grok this off the top of my head. Part of it is, if we look at these, it almost looks like they're not, the verticalness is painted vertical. It looks like there's no top surface to get. I wonder, I actually need to rotate our box. Notice how as we secure into the board, I'll put it, it box. I think what's happening, look at this, is these boxes are being drawn as if they're, boxes, 90 degrees. So they're not tilted. But our actual, if you look at our actual, try to keep my, if you look at our actual board, it kind of angles up and out. And so we need these boxes to also angle their tops up and out with that, which will Grok be able to figure that out? That's a great question. Some piece, does this match chase cam view forward up? Standing straight while the ground is angled. 4-point path. Yeah, that might be right. So I think this is maybe a good example of why you use AI coding, you still need to know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing right now entirely, and I'm leading Grok astray in a lot of ways. I'm kind of getting a decent idea of what it's trying to do, but I am not guiding it properly, which I think a lot of people want these AI tools to do things for them. And as you can tell right now, Grok is not going to figure those things out for you. It's just going to kind of give you what you're asking for. Let's see. Oh, you know, I'm not even sure what that looks like now. It looks better. It's got some weird. Let's see what it did. Parallelogram. Actually, this would be perfect. Images. And because I think, I mean, if we just filled in those gaps, we have a decent, really decent grid we're walking across. Snake is this would be our last attempted. So this was maybe a good example of you can call it the limitations. I'm not exactly sure how every other harness would handle this. The point of this series is not to just compare to the other harnesses. It kind of gives us the same thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, that might take a little bit of design on my part to figure out how to get out of it. Maybe in the next video we'll ask Grok about how we want to do it. But either which way, we kind of showed that we can make Grok build, abide by instructions, and maybe some of the behavioral characteristics were kind of shown well in this, and kind of gives you an idea for the ride you're in if you'd like full control and telling you everything you need done and you just don't want to write the code yourself. Obviously it does a good job. Now, will it write good code? I think one would imply that if you have to fill in all those gaps for it, it's not going to fill in the gaps for you when we implement. So I think over the course of this series, XAI will make their agent better, no doubt. But we'll also do some work to try to make our agent a little bit better. So we'll kind of get some prompt tuning going and behavioral tuning. But with that, I'll kind of leave it here. Our game is still progressing forward, which is very nice. The top-down view is, this was obviously done on camera, but this is more or less what I wanted. This. And yeah, it works. And this is playable now. I mean, you can get good at this now instead of before it was kind of, well, this is a real game that I can play. Good at. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will talk next episode. Maybe hammer this a little bit harder, see if we can get a real good 2D view, and maybe look at what we can do to make Grok behave a little better for us. So thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.